I could hardly wait for Willa, Addy, and Jill to come in the door today. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Okay, the only family member that's not here is Dad. What's Dad up to today?
He had to work today, and he couldn't get out of it. So
Okay, because normally he is right with you guys. So it
Yes.
must have been something. It must have been work that kept him away. Because
Yes.
otherwise he's right with you. How are you guys doing? Are you doing good?
Absolutely great.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what we'll do is, Mom, let's get some history about these two little princesses that we have sitting here. Let's get some history. Let's go back. Can we start with your first pregnancy?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's go back.
Way back.
Yeah, Willa is almost ready to turn 14.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Now, which I
2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
not
2 weeks.
believe. So, yeah, that is getting to be a little while ago now. But really, everything was normal with Willa and Addy, around the time they were born, and right on up until Willa was almost 10. So it was about 4 years ago. She started really not feeling well. Like, she was eating so much, like more than her dad. Speaking of him.
Yes.
And then I'd eat off my sister's plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you just could not get full.
Nope. I would come down after dinner too, after everybody was asleep, and I would take more food. I would eat more at night.
Okay, so
And
red
she would-
flags started going up?
Yeah, because she was also drinking a lot of water.
Okay.
And Ethan had an uncle who had type 1, and there are stories in the family about he would stand at the drinking fountain at school and just drink water until all the other kids behind him were shouting his name, like, we all need a turn. And so when Willa started drinking a lot of water, that got our attention.
Okay, so then you took her in for a checkup, or how did that go?
Well, no, we put all of her symptoms in Google.
Oh, we Googled first. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then they didn't tell me at first. And then
Okay.
one day I was at school. It was actually Halloween day. And I was really excited. I was going to be a mummy. And it was going to be great. Halloween's my favorite. But I just was feeling more terrible than I had been feeling for the past, however long. And so I went to the nurse's office, and she called Mom, and Mom came and get me. And we went to
the
Winona
doctor,
Health, right?
And they did a blood sugar test, and your blood sugar is supposed to be like 100, but Willa's was 450.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and they got the results of that test just like that. So we had picked Ethan up at work because I said, I think because of the Googling.
Yes.
I think we're about to get some really bad news. But we didn't even completely understand then, like, how challenging and dangerous and just downright bad type 1 could be, like type 1 diabetes. I mean, I can remember thinking that day, like, that's the thing that you take insulin for, right? Which that makes it sound like it's pretty simple to manage. You just take your insulin, right? But it's pretty complicated because they have to test their blood sugar multiple times a day, and
It's like a giant teeter-totter, and
Yeah.
if one side isn't balanced, everything goes crazy. So
we have to.
That's really a
balance
good
out.
way to put it, because I think we can
Yeah.
all understand what you're
teeter-totter.
talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
And they never get a day off, and they don't even get the night off. They don't get their birthdays off or Christmas. Like, it's an all day, every day kind of thing. trying to keep
24/7.
The
Yep.
sugar and the insulin in balance. But over the last 4 years, then, we've really learned a lot, and it was super duper hard at first. CMN made it a lot easier when we were in the hospital, even because they.
Oh, that's good. That's a good cowbell noise. That means that a donation came in while you guys were sitting here talking.
Yay!
That's really good.
Good to hear. We'll have to hear that more.
That's a good one.
So when everything, it was so overwhelming at first. But during the days that we spent in the hospital while we were learning to manage type 1, Ethan and I could just come to the cafeteria and have meals there and it seems like it would be kind of a small thing, but it was really big for us, just like we can stay here. We don't have to go to a restaurant. We can just focus on what we're supposed to be learning.
Well, you were getting a real education, and there was probably many things that you never even considered. I mean, how would you know? You haven't lived through it.
Yeah. But then when Addy was diagnosed, because she has type 1 diabetes too.
Which is not usually common. I have a couple friends who have siblings with it, but it's not really genetic. So
But we kind of had a feeling that maybe Addy was kind of headed down the same road. So.
Well, what showed the signs with Addy?
She just never felt good. Remember?
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Addy, how old are you now?
9.5.
And what grade are you in?
4th.
Does it bother you a little bit when we talk about things that's going on with you, or are you all right with that? Does having diabetes bother you, talking about it?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Probably because you're able to share. You seem like an open little girl. You have a new haircut, too, by the way.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, who has a haircut like that?
My aunt.
Your aunt.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it looks great. We love it.
Thank you.
So, do you do okay with your diabetes at school? I mean, are you okay with checking your blood? How does that work?
It's pretty good. We come in from recess at school, and I just go to a random table and check my blood sugar and bolus, and then I eat lunch. So, it's pretty good.
So, you have to be careful with something else, too. Because when we were back in the snack room, you were looking around for something that you'd be able to eat. Do you have a problem with gluten?
Yeah, I have celiac, and so I have to be careful what I eat because I can't eat anything with gluten. So, yeah.
So, Jill, how do you create a meal at your house with these restrictions?
We're really used to it now. But at first, it took some figuring out. Like, I would go to the grocery store and spend a really long time at the grocery store reading all the labels, trying to figure out what was gluten-free and what wasn't. And some of the gluten-free stuff tastes good and some of it really doesn't. So we tried to figure out, like, what gluten-free substitutes we wanted to have. And, well, we have it pretty figured out now because, like, yesterday was my birthday. And so
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We decided to make a birthday cake, and we have a chocolate gluten-free birthday cake that is really top-notch. So we know now what things we like, and so we just have those things. Right?
Was that hard to take when you found out that you had, what's it called, celiac disease?
Yeah, celiac.
Okay. Was that kind of hard to take?
I don't remember because I've had it for a long time. How long? It's like
4 years, because you found
4
out about the
years.
celiac right when Willa.
So 4 years now you've had it. Yeah.
So about 4 years. So we don't really remember like that much. I was in the hospital. No. Was I in the hospital? No.
So there was a lot of in the hospital.
Yep. All of this kind of happened at the same time. Like, Addy was in the hospital for a bad asthma attack 1 week before Willa was diagnosed with type 1, and then a month after that we figured out about the celiac. So they would say things like, the food when I was in the hospital was really good. What was your favorite food when you were in the hospital? It was like, this is where we live now.
This is where it is.
Yeah.
Now, before all of this happened, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, did you know of the organization? Were you aware of them?
No, I really wasn't.
How did you become part of this? It's almost like a partnership.
Yeah, we're really aware of CMN now because, I think when we were in the hospital and we had access to free meals,
Right.
Those just kind of seemed magical to us. Like, we didn't really know where those were coming from, but now we know that was CMN at work. It's just one of the nurses said to us, like, oh, we can get you meal vouchers. And then we learned more about CMN when we found out about Diabetes Camp. And Diabetes Camp is a magical place where kids with type 1 can go, and there are doctors and nurses on staff to help them manage their diabetes while they're there, and they have an amazing time.
Willa, have you've been there? How many times have you been there?
This past summer was my 4th year, going, and it is the highlight of my year. I love it so much. I couldn't imagine not going. I think before I went this past year, my parents were like, "So, do you want to go to camp this year?" And I was like, "Why would I not want to go to camp?"
What are some of the things that you do?
It's just like, a regular camp, but with type 1 diabetes built in. It's, every single kid is the same. They've all experienced what you have. They can relate. We share stories about our craziest, most disastrous times, and
Sailing, horseback
Yeah.
riding, rock
They're-
climbing,
you do just the
Swimming.
regular summer camp things,
crafts.
except you do them safely.
Safely and with kids that are going through
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
We're going to ask for calls at 784-KIDS, 784-5437. And I know it's been going on because there's been calls. You know what? You already have 7 calls that have come in. Congratulations. We want to say a big thank you. Our UPS team is very busy over there, and they're taking the calls as they're coming in at 784-KIDS, 784-5437. And so I was going to ask you a question. You said, no, I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to ask you, someday, what do you think you would like to do?
Well, like I said, I really enjoy writing. Both my parents are English majors, and I think writing is fun. So maybe something like working for a journalism something, or a magazine or a newspaper, something like that. I thought that would be fun. And I thought that it'd be fun to do something like Ashley does and organize CMN, because it's great. And I
You
like
kind of made her tear
organizing
up
stuff.
a little bit because she loves you guys so much.
Yeah.
And she just thinks that is so cool. She is a real asset, isn't she?
Yes.
Planning all these events. You guys get to see her quite a bit throughout the year.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good ambitions. And how about you, Missy? How are you doing in school? You doing good?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite teacher?
My only teacher?
Well, that's good. What's your only teacher's name?
Her name is Miss Heim, but they're actually, I only have 4 teachers in one room, but Miss Heim is my favorite because she's like the lead teacher.
And what school do you go to?
Lucky Montessori.
Very good. And do you have a sport that you like to do? Do you guys do some sports?
She's really good at hula hoop. Does that count?
Hula hoop counts, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's a sport. You love the hula hoop?
Yeah,
How many can you do at once?
A lot.
a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long can you keep it going?
I think.
Didn't
the
you do like
longest-
5 minutes or something once?
Yeah.
5-minute hula hoop? That's really something, because there's some of us that can't keep it up for more than 1/1000, and that's it. It's down around
That's
our
me.
ankles.
That's me.
You too?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good for you. See, we all have these things that we're really good at. Thank you for sharing that. So the calls have been coming in. 784-KIDS, 784-5437. What are we going to say to people who are trying to make the decision to call in a pledge? Willa, what do you think?
You should call in. You should donate, because then we get to go to camp, and it's the best. And kids like us get to go to camp, and it helps so much. And I don't know what we would have done without CMN and everyone's donations. They helped so much.
Jill, I'm sure you have something to add to that, but you know what? I think that just capped it off. Yeah. So we were at 7 calls, and I think we're getting a little update right now to see where we're at. We're at 7 calls, and now we're going to find out. We're 10 calls. Excellent. Thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's our pleasure. There's another one.
Yay!
784-KIDS, 784-5437, and yet another one. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely awesome. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope the next time I see you that everybody's feeling just as good and just as healthy.
Thanks so much for doing this for CMN every year. You guys are great.
This is our little part. You guys do the big part. You're listening to the Children's Miracle Network Hospital's Radiothon, a service of the La Crosse Media Group.